The lie was supposed to be simple. Claire Ramsey, tech billionaire, 32, single and perpetually skeptical of love, sat in the back of a beat-up Uber, her tailored suit swapped for a thrift store flannel and jeans. Her hazel eyes scanned the Brooklyn street outside, alive with the hum of morning traffic and the faint scent of roasted coffee drifting from a nearby cafe. She sighed, her breath fogging the window. Why am I doing this? The question gnawed at her, but she knew the answer. Years of wealth had built walls. People wanted her name, her money, her status. Never her. So tonight she'd be nobody. Just Claire. No private jets, no penthouse, no Forbes cover. Just a woman on a blind date. The app had paired her with Mia Carter, a 29-year-old barista with a profile that read like poetry. Lover of sunrises, vinyl records, and stories that break your heart. Claire's lips twitched into a half-smile. Mia's photo showed a woman with curly auburn hair, and a grin that felt like a warm hearth in a snowstorm. She's probably too good to be true, Claire thought, her cynicism a reflex. But something about Mia's words stuck, like a melody she couldn't shake. The cafe door jingled as Claire stepped inside, the air thick with the aroma of fresh pastries and espresso. Her sneakers squeaked on the hardwood floor, and she winced, feeling exposed without her usual armor of designer heels. She spotted Mia instantly, curly hair spilling over a denim jacket, sitting at a corner table, her fingers tapping a rhythm on a coffee mug. Claire's heart did a strange flip, like it had tripped over itself. "Hey, you must be Claire," Mia said, standing, her voice a soft alto that carried the warmth of a summer night. Her green eyes sparkled unguarded, and Claire felt a pang of guilt for the lie she was about to spin. "Yeah, hi," Claire replied, her voice catching. She slid into the chair, hyper-aware of the worn wallet in her pocket, stuffed with just $10 to sell the broke act. "Nice place. You come here a lot." Mia grinned, leaning forward. "It's my spot. I work at a coffee shop a few blocks over, so I'm kind of a caffeine snob." She tilted her head, studying Claire. "You look nervous. First blind date." Claire laughed, a little too sharply, and covered it with a sip of water. "Is it that obvious?" "Nah, just a vibe." Mia's smile softened. "I'm nervous too. But like good nervous. You know." Claire nodded, her chest tightening. Mia's openness was disarming, like sunlight cutting through fog. They talked about music. Mia loved indie folk. Claire faked a preference for lo-fi beats. About Brooklyn's quirks, Mia knew every mural in Williamsburg. About dreams, Mia wanted to open a community art space. Claire mumbled something about freelancing. Each lie felt heavier, but Mia's laughter, bright and unforced, kept pulling Claire in. The conversation flowed, punctuated by the clink of coffee cups and the murmur of other patrons. Claire noticed the way Mia's hands moved when she talked, expressive, like she was painting the air with her words. She noticed the faint freckles across Mia's nose, the way her eyes crinkled when she laughed. And she noticed the absence of judgment. No probing about Claire's job, her car, her life. Just questions about her favorite book, her worst habit, her happiest memory. "So," Mia said, leaning back, her coffee long gone, "what's your story, Claire? Like the real one. Not the polished first date version." Claire froze, her fingers tightening around her mug. The lie sat on her tongue, ready to spill, but Mia's gaze, steady, curious, kind, made her falter. "I am just figuring things out," she said finally, her voice quieter than she meant. "Trying to find something real." Mia nodded, like she understood more than Claire had said. "Me too," she murmured. "Something that feels honest." The word hit Claire like a punch. She glanced at her watch. 2 hours had passed, but it felt like minutes. Outside, the sun climbed higher, bathing the cafe in gold. Mia reached for her bag, pulling out a sketchbook. "I draw sometimes," she said, almost shyly, flipping to a page of intricate pencil sketches. Cityscapes, faces, moments. "This is my way of holding on to the good stuff." Claire leaned closer, her shoulder brushing Mia's. The contact sent a jolt through her, electric and terrifying. "These are incredible," she said, meaning it. You're kind of amazing, Mia." Mia blushed, tucking a curl behind her ear. "You're not so bad yourself, Claire." Her voice was soft, but there was a spark in it, a challenge. "Wanna do this again?" Claire's heart raced. She wanted to say yes, to lean across the table and kiss Mia right there, to tell her everything, the truth, the fear, the longing. But the lie held her back, a shadow she couldn't shake. "Yeah," she said instead, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'd like that." As they parted ways, Mia's hand lingered on Claire's arm, a fleeting touch that burned. Claire watched her disappear down the street, the weight of her deception settling like dust. She'd lied to protect herself, but now, standing alone in the morning light, she wondered if she'd just lost something she hadn't even known she needed. Claire stood outside her Manhattan penthouse, the city's skyline glittering like a taunt. The lie she'd told Mia clung to her like damp clothes, heavy and cold. Inside, her apartment was a sterile museum of wealth, marble floors, abstract art, a view that screamed power. But tonight it felt empty. She dropped her keys on the counter, the clatter echoing in the silence, and poured a glass of wine she didn't drink. Her phone buzzed, Mia's name lit up the screen. "Had fun today? Free tomorrow?" Claire's pulse quickened, a mix of thrill and dread. She typed back, "Yeah, let's do it," her fingers trembling. The next day they met at a park, the air crisp with autumn and the scent of wet leaves. Mia wore a knit scarf, her cheeks pink from the chill, and carried a thermos of coffee. "Thought we'd share," she said, handing Claire a chipped ceramic mug. The gesture was small, but it hit Claire hard. Mia didn't care about appearances, only moments. They walked, their steps crunching on gravel, and Claire felt the lie festering. She wanted to confess, to spill everything, but the fear of Mia's rejection kept her quiet. Mia talked about her life, her tiny apartment, her barista job, her dream of an art space where anyone could create. "It's not about money," she said, her voice fierce. "It's about giving people a place to feel seen." Claire's throat tightened. She built a tech empire, billions in the bank, but had she ever made anyone feel seen? She mumbled something about odd jobs, hating how easily the lie came. They sat on a bench, the city humming around them. Mia pulled out her sketchbook, sketching the skyline with quick, sure strokes. Claire watched, mesmerized by the focus in Mia's eyes, the way her lips parted slightly as she worked. "You're quiet today," Mia said, not looking up. "Everything okay?" Claire's heart thudded. "Just thinking." She hesitated, then added, "You make it easy to be here, Mia." It was the truest thing she'd said all day. Mia smiled, her pencil pausing. "Good. 'Cause I like having you around." She tore the sketch from her book and handed it to Claire. A rough, beautiful outline of the park, their bench, two figures side by side. "For you," she said, her voice soft but weighted. Claire took it, her fingers brushing Mia's. The touch lingered, and for a moment the world narrowed to just them. The rustle of leaves, the warmth of Mia's gaze, the ache in Claire's chest. She wanted to lean in, to close the distance, but the lie was a wall between them. "Thanks," she whispered, clutching the sketch like a lifeline. That night, alone in her penthouse, Claire stared at the drawing. She traced the lines Mia had drawn, her fingers trembling. The lie was supposed to protect her, but it was unraveling her instead. She texted Mia, "Can we meet again? Soon?" Mia's reply came fast, "Tomorrow. My place. I'll cook." Claire's breath caught. Mia's world, small, real, warm, was pulling her in, and she was terrified of how much she wanted it. The next evening, Claire stood outside Mia's Brooklyn walk-up, clutching a bottle of cheap wine to keep up the act. The building was old, paint peeling, the stairwell smelling faintly of curry and laundry. Mia's apartment was a burst of color. Mismatched furniture, string lights, records stacked by a turntable. "Welcome to my chaos," Mia said, grinning as she stirred a pot of pasta. The air smelled of garlic and basil, and Claire felt a pang of envy for this life, so lived in, so honest. They ate on the floor, cross-legged, laughing over spilled sauce and stories. Mia's laughter was a melody, high and unguarded, and Claire found herself leaning closer, drawn to her warmth. When Mia reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining, Claire's heart stopped. "I'm really glad you're here," Mia said, her voice low, her eyes searching Claire's. Claire wanted to say it back, to say everything. "I'm a billionaire, I lied, I'm scared, I think I'm falling for you." But the words caught in her throat. Instead, she squeezed Mia's hand, her thumb tracing slow circles on her skin. "Me too," she managed, her voice breaking. As they cleaned up, Mia put on a record, soft indie folk, the kind that felt like a confession. They danced, clumsy and close, Mia's head resting against Claire's shoulder. The world outside faded, and for the first time in years, Claire felt like she belonged somewhere. But the lie loomed, a shadow waiting to break the spell. Claire woke to the buzz of her phone, the screen glowing with a text from Mia. "Morning. Coffee run?" Her heart leapt, but the lie twisted in her gut like a knife. She'd spent the night at Mia's, curled on the couch under a worn quilt, their laughter fading into soft whispers. Now sunlight streamed through Mia's cracked window, and Claire felt exposed, like the truth might spill out with the morning light. They met at Mia's coffee shop, the air thick with the hiss of steam wands and the clatter of cups. Mia, in her barista apron, moved with easy grace, her smile lighting up the room. Claire sat at the counter, nursing a black coffee, watching Mia joke with customers. "She's real," Claire thought, her chest aching. "And I'm a fraud." Mia slid a latte across the counter, a heart drawn in the foam. "For you," she said, winking. "On the house." Claire's fingers brushed Mia's as she took the cup, and the touch sent a shiver through her. She wanted to tell Mia everything. Her tech empire, her billions, her fear of being wanted for the wrong reasons. But the words stayed locked away, buried under the weight of her deception. They spent the day wandering Brooklyn, sharing a pretzel from a street cart, their shoulders brushing as they walked. Mia talked about her childhood, small-town Ohio, a family that didn't get her, art as her escape. Claire listened, hanging on every word, but her own stories were vague, stitched together with half-truths. "I move around a lot," she said when Mia asked about her past. "Never really settled." Mia nodded, accepting it, and Claire hated herself for it. At dusk they ended up at a pier, the Hudson River glinting under the fading sun. Mia leaned against the railing, her hair catching the light like fire. "You ever feel like you're hiding something?" she asked suddenly, her voice soft but piercing. "Like there's a piece of you nobody gets to see?" Claire's breath hitched. She stared at the water, the lap of waves filling the silence. "Yeah," she said finally, her voice barely audible. "All the time." Mia turned to her, her eyes searching. "You can tell me, you know. Whatever it is." Her hand found Claire's, their fingers lacing together. The warmth of Mia's touch was a lifeline, but it also burned. Every moment Claire stayed silent was another betrayal. "I want to," Claire said, her voice cracking. "It's just complicated." She looked at Mia, her heart pounding so loud she swore Mia could hear it. The urge to confess was overwhelming, but so was the fear. What if Mia walked away? What if the truth changed everything? Mia squeezed her hand, her smile soft but steady. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "Not unless you want me to." Claire's eyes stung. She wanted to kiss Mia, to pull her close and let the world fall away. Instead, she leaned her head on Mia's shoulder, the scent of her lavender shampoo grounding her. They stood there, the city's hum fading into the background, and for a moment, Claire let herself believe the lie could hold. But it couldn't. That night, back in her penthouse, Claire's phone rang. Her assistant panicked. A tech conference was tomorrow, and Claire's presence was non-negotiable. "They're expecting the Claire Ramsey," her assistant said, voice sharp. "Not whoever you're pretending to be." Claire's stomach dropped. The conference was public, high-profile. If Mia saw her there, the lie would collapse. She paced her apartment, the sketch Mia had given her propped on the counter like an accusation. She could keep dodging, keep lying, but every moment with Mia made the truth heavier. She texted Mia. "Can we talk tomorrow? Need to tell you something." Mia's reply was instant. "Anytime. I'm here." The next morning, Claire stood in her walk-in closet, staring at her suits. She could go to the conference, play the billionaire, and keep Mia in the dark. Or she could show up as herself, the real Claire, money and all, and risk everything. Her hand shook as she reached for a blazer, the fabric cool and crisp. The lie had been her shield, but Mia was her reason to let it go. She stepped into the conference hall, the buzz of cameras and voices deafening. Her name was everywhere, on banners, on lips. She scanned the crowd, half hoping, half dreading Mia's face. The truth was coming, and Claire wasn't sure she was ready. The conference hall was a sea of suits and flashing cameras, the air thick with the buzz of ambition and expensive cologne. Claire stood at the podium, her tailored blazer a stark contrast to the flannel she'd worn with Mia. Her voice, steady and commanding, echoed through the mic as she spoke about AI innovation. But her mind was elsewhere, on Mia, on the text she'd sent, on the truth she couldn't keep buried. "I'm here," Mia had replied, and those words felt like a lifeline and a noose. Claire's eyes scanned the crowd, her pulse racing. She half expected to see Mia's auburn curls, her warm green eyes, but the faces were a blur of strangers. The lie had held for weeks, but now it felt like a ticking bomb. She finished her speech to thunderous applause, her smile tight, and slipped backstage, her heels clicking on the polished floor. Her phone buzzed. "Mia. Saw you on a live stream. You're wow. Can we talk?" Claire's heart sank. The truth had found her first. She met Mia outside the convention center, the city's evening hum a backdrop to the tension between them. Mia stood under a street lamp, her denim jacket swapped for a sweater, her arms crossed. Her expression wasn't anger, but something worse, hurt, confusion, a flicker of betrayal. "Claire," she said, her voice low. "Or should I say Claire Ramsey, tech billionaire?" Claire's throat tightened, the air sharp with the scent of rain on asphalt. "Mia, I was going to tell you." "When?" Mia cut in, her eyes searching Claire's. "Before or after I saw you on a stage talking about a life you never mentioned?" Her voice cracked and Claire felt it like a slap. "I thought we were real. You let me think you were just some freelancer scraping by." "Why?" Claire's hands shook, her carefully built walls crumbling. "I didn't want you to see the money," she said, her voice raw. "Everyone does. They see the billionaire, the headlines, the penthouse. I wanted you to see me. Just me." She took a step closer, her breath uneven. "I've never felt like this, Mia. Not with anyone." Mia's eyes softened, but the hurt lingered. "You think I care about your money? I liked you for your laugh, for the way you listen, for how you looked at my sketches like they mattered." She shook her head, a tear slipping down her cheek. "You didn't trust me." Claire's chest ached, the weight of her mistake crushing. "I was scared," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Scared you'd walk away if you knew. Scared I'd lose this." She gestured between them, her hand trembling. Mia looked away, the city's lights reflecting in her eyes. "I need time," she said finally, her voice heavy. "I don't know who you are right now." She turned, her footsteps fading into the night, leaving Claire alone with the echo of her own heartbeat. The next week was torture. Claire threw herself into work, but the boardroom felt hollow, the city's skyline a reminder of what she'd lost. She texted Mia. Apologies, explanations, please, but got only silence. At night she stared at Mia's sketch, the pencil lines blurring through tears. She'd built an empire, but she'd never felt so powerless. Then a package arrived at her penthouse. Inside was Mia's sketchbook, a note tucked between the pages. "Meet me at the cafe. 8 a.m. Bring the real you." Claire's heart raced, hope and fear colliding. She barely slept, the scent of Mia's lavender shampoo haunting her. At the cafe, the air was thick with coffee and morning light. Mia sat at their usual table, her expression unreadable. Claire slid into the chair, her hands clutching the sketchbook like a shield. "I'm so sorry," she started, her voice breaking. "I lied because I thought it was the only way to know if you'd want me. The real me." Mia leaned forward, her eyes steady. "I don't care about your money, Claire. I care about you lying." She paused, her voice softening. But I miss you. The way you made me feel, I've never had that either. Claire reached for Mia's hand, her heart pounding. I'll never lie to you again, she said, her voice fierce. I want this us more than anything. Mia didn't pull away, and for the first time in days, Claire breathed. They talked for hours, the truth spilling out. Claire's fears, her past, her empire. Mia listened, her hand warm in Claire's, and slowly, the gap between them closed. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. The cafe became their sanctuary again. Its worn wooden tables and coffee-scented air, a backdrop to their fragile truce. Claire showed up as herself. No flannel, no lies, just a tailored blazer and the truth. Mia, in her denim jacket, her auburn curls catching the morning light, watched her with cautious eyes. They talked, slow and deliberate, each word a step toward rebuilding what Claire's lie had cracked. The clink of mugs, the hum of Brooklyn outside, grounded them, but the tension lingered, sharp as the tang of espresso. I want to know you, Mia said one morning, her voice steady but soft. The real you. Not the billionaire, not the freelancer. Just Claire. Her fingers traced the rim of her coffee cup. A nervous habit Claire had come to adore. But you have to let me in. Claire nodded, her throat tight. I'm trying, she said, her voice raw. I've never been good at this, being open. But I want to be. For you. She reached across the table, her hand hovering before Mia took it, their fingers lacing together. The touch was a promise, fragile but real. They spent weeks rediscovering each other. Claire shared pieces of her life she'd kept locked away. Her childhood in a small Chicago apartment, her mother's late-night shifts, her own relentless drive to build something bigger. Mia listened, her eyes softening, and shared her own truths. Her fear of failing at her art space dream. Her quiet pride in the life she'd carved out. They walked Brooklyn's streets, the crunch of leaves underfoot, the city's pulse syncing with their own. Claire noticed the small things. Mia's laugh when a street musician played off-key, the way she hummed while sketching, the warmth of her hand in Claire's coat pocket. One evening at Mia's apartment, the air thick with the scent of homemade chili, Claire found herself staring at Mia as she stirred a pot, her hips swaying to a record soft strum. What? Mia asked, catching her gaze, a playful smile tugging at her lips. You're beautiful, Claire said, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Mia blushed, setting down the spoon, and crossed the room. She cupped Claire's face, her thumbs brushing her cheeks, and kissed her slow, deliberate, a kiss that tasted of trust and chili spice. Claire's heart raced, her hands finding Mia's waist, pulling her closer. The world narrowed to the creak of the floorboards, the crackle of the record, the warmth of Mia's breath. But the past wasn't done with them. A tabloid headline hit Claire's phone one morning. Billionaire Claire Ramsey's secret romance exposed. Grainy photos showed them at the pier, hands entwined, Mia's face clear as day. Claire's stomach dropped. Her world, her real world, was crashing into Mia's, and she hadn't warned her. She rushed to Mia's coffee shop, the bell jingling frantically as she burst in. Mia was behind the counter, her face pale, a crumpled newspaper in her hand. Did you know about this? She asked, her voice tight. No, Claire said, breathless. I swear, Mia, I didn't. She stopped, seeing the hurt in Mia's eyes. I should have warned you. My life, it's not private. Not like yours. Mia's jaw tightened. I don't care about the cameras. I care that you didn't tell me this could happen. She tossed the paper down, the headline glaring. I feel like I'm in your world now, and I don't know the rules. Claire's heart sank. You're not in my world, she said, stepping closer. I want to be in yours. I'll do whatever it takes, security, lawyers, anything, to keep you safe from this. Mia looked at her, eyes searching. I don't need your money, Claire. I need you to be honest. Always. She paused, her voice softening. Can you do that? Claire nodded, her eyes stinging. Yes. I promise. She reached for Mia's hand, and this time Mia didn't pull away. They spent the night talking, curled on Mia's couch, the city's noise a distant hum. Claire promised transparency, No more secrets, no more lies. Mia promised to try to navigate Claire's world if Claire met her halfway. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. As dawn broke, Claire traced the lines of Mia's sketchbook, her fingers lingering on a drawing of them together. "We're gonna be okay," she whispered, more to herself than to Mia. Mia stirred, her hand finding Claire's, and in the quiet, Claire believed it. The tabloid storm didn't let up. Claire's phone buzzed relentlessly, reporters, colleagues, her PR team demanding statements. She silenced it, focusing on Mia, who stood in her tiny kitchen, chopping vegetables with a ferocity that betrayed her calm facade. The air smelled of onions and tension, the clack of the knife sharp against the cutting board. Claire wanted to fix it, to shield Mia from the chaos of her world, but she knew money couldn't buy trust. "I'm sorry," Claire said, her voice low, leaning against the counter. "I didn't think it'd get this bad." Mia paused, her hand stilling. "It's not just the headlines," she said, her eyes meeting Claire's. "It's feeling like I'm losing you to all of this." She gestured vaguely, encompassing Claire's billionaire life, the cameras, the scrutiny, the weight of her name. Claire's chest tightened. She stepped closer, the linoleum creaking under her boots. "You're not losing me," she said, her voice fierce. "I'm right here. And I'll fight for this, for us." She reached for Mia's hand, the warmth grounding her. "Tell me what you need." Mia's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "I need you to let me in. Not just the good parts, the messy ones too." She set the knife down, her fingers brushing Claire's. "And I need to know you're not gonna run when it gets hard." Claire nodded, her throat tight. "I'm not running," she said. "Not from you." They stood there, the hum of the city outside fading, the world shrinking to the space between them. Mia leaned in, their foreheads touching, and Claire felt the weight of her promise settle like a vow. They spent the next weeks navigating the chaos together. Claire hired a security team to keep the paparazzi at bay, but she let Mia call the shots. Small dates, quiet moments, no flashy displays of wealth. They went to dive bars, shared greasy fries, and danced to street musicians under flickering lights. Mia sketched Claire in stolen moments, her profile against a sunset, her laugh caught in pencil lines. Claire kept every drawing, tucking them into her penthouse like treasures. But the pressure built. Claire's board pushed for her to manage the narrative, to spin the romance into a PR win. She refused, her voice sharp in meetings, her loyalty to Mia unwavering. At night, she'd slip into Mia's apartment, the scent of paint and coffee a refuge. They'd talk until dawn, their voices soft, their hands entwined. Claire shared her fears, losing herself to her empire, failing Mia. Mia shared her own, being swallowed by Claire's world, losing her art. Each confession was a brick, rebuilding the trust Claire had broken. One night, Mia took Claire to an empty lot in Williamsburg, her dream spot for the art space. The air was crisp, the stars faint above the city's glow. Mia's eyes lit up as she described it. Walls for murals, rooms for classes, a place for misfits to belong. "This is me," she said, her voice trembling with passion. "This is what I want to build." Claire looked at her, heart pounding. "Let me help," she said, the words spilling out. "Not with money, with you. I want to build it with you." Mia's eyes widened, and for a moment, Claire thought she'd pushed too far. But then Mia smiled, bright and unguarded, and pulled her into a kiss that tasted of hope and starlight. They started small planning sessions over coffee, sketches of the space, late nights researching grants. Claire rolled up her sleeves, learning zoning laws, her billionaire polish replaced by determination. Mia teased her about her terrible handwriting, her stubbornness, but her laughter was warm, her touches lingering. They were a team, messy and real, and Claire felt alive in a way her boardroom never allowed. But the world didn't stop. A rival tech CEO, bitter from a past deal, leaked Claire's financials, painting her as a manipulative heiress toying with a small-town girl. The headlines stung, and Mia's silence after reading them stung more. Claire found her at the pier, the wind whipping her curls, her sketchbook clutched tight. "I don't believe them," Mia said finally, her voice steady. But it hurts, Claire. Knowing people see me as less. Claire's heart broke. She took Mia's hands, her voice fierce. You're everything. And I'll spend every day proving it. Mia's eyes searched hers and slowly she nodded. They stood together, the river's lap a quiet promise, ready to face whatever came next. The headlines kept coming, each one sharper, slicing into the fragile world Claire and Mia had built. Billionaire's game. Is Mia Carter just a pawn? The words burned, and Claire's penthouse, once a fortress, felt like a cage. She paced, the city's skyline mocking her through floor-to-ceiling windows, the air heavy with the scent of leather and regret. Mia hadn't texted in 2 days, and the silence was louder than any boardroom argument. Claire drove to Mia's coffee shop, her sleek car out of place among Brooklyn's grit. The bell jingled as she stepped inside, the familiar hiss of the espresso machine a small comfort. Mia was behind the counter, her apron smudged, her eyes tired but still warm. You didn't call, Claire said, her voice softer than she meant, betraying the ache in her chest. Mia sighed, wiping her hands on a towel. Needed space, she said, her voice low. Those articles, they make me feel small, Claire. Like I'm just a story in your world. She looked away, the clatter of cups filling the pause. I don't know how to do this. Claire's heart twisted. She stepped closer, the counter between them a barrier she hated. You're not a story, she said, her voice fierce. You're my world. Mia's eyes flicked up, searching, and Claire pressed on. I'll fight the headlines, the cameras, all of it. Just don't give up on us. Mia's lips parted, a flicker of hope in her gaze. It's not about giving up, she said. It's about trusting you won't let me drown in your life. She reached across the counter, her fingers brushing Claire's. The touch was electric, grounding, a reminder of why they were fighting. They spent the evening at Mia's apartment, the air thick with the scent of paint and vinyl records. Mia sketched, her pencil scratching softly, while Claire sat cross-legged on the floor, reading grant applications for the art space. The quiet was healing, punctuated by Mia's hums, the creak of the couch, the city's distant pulse. Claire glanced at Mia, her curls falling over her eyes, and felt a surge of love so strong it scared her. I'm all in, Claire said suddenly, her voice breaking the silence. For you, for the art space, for us. I've never wanted anything like this. She set the papers down, her hands trembling. I know my world is loud, but I'll keep it from touching you. Mia set her sketchbook aside, her eyes soft but fierce. I don't need you to shield me, she said. I need you to stand with me. She crossed the room, kneeling in front of Claire, their faces inches apart. I love you, Claire. That's why this is hard. Claire's breath caught, the words hitting like a tidal wave. I love you too, she whispered, her voice raw. She pulled Mia close, their lips meeting in a kiss that tasted of tears and promises. The world outside faded, the headlines, the cameras, the noise, leaving only the warmth of Mia's arms, the steady beat of her heart. But the fight wasn't over. The next morning, Claire's rival escalated, leaking emails that painted her as ruthless, a billionaire who'd built her empire on broken trust. The media pounced, and Mia's name was dragged deeper into the mud. Claire's PR team begged her to distance herself, to protect her brand. She fired them on the spot, her voice cold. I protect her, she said. Not the company. She found Mia at the empty lot, staring at the space where her art space would rise. The air smelled of dust and possibility, but Mia's shoulders were slumped, her sketchbook untouched. They're saying I'm using you, she said, her voice hollow. That I'm after your money. Claire's jaw clenched. She stepped in front of Mia, blocking the world. Let them talk, she said, her voice fierce. We know the truth. You're the only one who's ever seen me. She took Mia's hands, her thumbs tracing slow circles. We're building this together, your dream, our life. No one gets to take that. Mia's eyes filled, but she nodded, her grip tightening. Together, she said, her voice steadying. They stood there, the wind carrying the city's hum, their hands clasped like a vow. The fight was far from over, but for the first time Claire felt ready. The empty lot in Williamsburg buzzed with life. Volunteers hammering, painting, laughing under the spring sun. The art space was taking shape, its walls rising where Claire and Mia had once stood dreaming. The air smelled of sawdust and fresh paint, the clatter of tools mixing with the hum of Brooklyn. Claire, in jeans and a work shirt, hauled a crate of supplies, her muscles aching but her heart full. Mia, her curls tied back, directed a group of kids painting a mural, her laughter bright against the chaos. It had been months since the headlines, since Claire's lie had nearly broken them. The media had moved on, chasing new scandals, but the scars lingered. Claire and Mia had fought for every inch of their relationship, through paparazzi, doubts, and Claire's own fears. Now, standing in the lot, Claire felt the weight of their victory. This wasn't just Mia's dream. It was theirs. Claire watched Mia, her hands smudged with paint, her eyes alive with purpose. "You're staring," Mia teased, catching her gaze. She crossed the lot, her boots crunching on gravel, and slipped her hand into Claire's. "What's on your mind, Billionaire?" Claire grinned, the nickname softer now, a private joke. "Just you," she said, her voice low. "Always you." Mia's smile was a sunrise, warm and unguarded, and Claire pulled her close, the world fading to the scent of lavender and paint. The art space's opening was a week away, and they worked late, stringing lights, hanging Mia's sketches. One night, under a flickering bulb, Mia showed Claire a new drawing, two women, hands entwined, standing in a field of stars. "It's us," Mia said, her voice soft. "How I see us." Claire's eyes stung, her fingers tracing the lines. She'd built a tech empire, but this, a pencil sketch, a shared dream, meant more. The opening night was electric. The lot was transformed. Murals splashed across walls, music spilling from speakers, people of all ages laughing, creating. Mia stood at the center, her denim jacket swapped for a simple dress, her speech raw and heartfelt. "This place," she said, her voice carrying over the crowd, "is for everyone who's ever felt unseen. It's for second chances, for truth, for love." Her eyes found Claire's, and Claire's heart swelled, the crowd's cheers a distant roar. After, they stood on the roof, the city's skyline glittering below. The air was cool, the hum of the party below mixing with the distant wail of a siren. Mia leaned against Claire, her head on her shoulder. "We did it," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Claire kissed her forehead, her lips lingering. "You did it," she said. "I just got lucky enough to be here." Mia laughed, soft and warm, and turned to face her, their hands entwining. "You know," Mia said, her eyes searching Claire's, "I fell for you that first day. Not the billionaire, not the lie, just you. The way you looked at me like I was enough." She paused, her thumb brushing Claire's cheek. "You're enough too, Claire. You always were." Claire's throat tightened, tears spilling over. She'd spent years chasing wealth, power, control, but here with Mia, she'd found something better, home. "I love you," she said, her voice breaking. "I'll spend every day making sure you know it." Mia kissed her, slow and deep, the city's lights a backdrop to their promise. The road hadn't been easy, the lie, the headlines, the fight, but it had led them here, to a love that saw past wallets and walls, to a life built on truth. As they stood together, the stars above faint but steady, Claire knew this was their meaning. Not the money, not the fame, but the quiet moments, the shared dreams, the woman who'd never judged her. They'd faced the world together, and that was enough.